The world needs us. You just have to look around you, unfortunately, to see the state of absolute chaos, despair, fear in the world. The world needs us, and no matter how big or small, if women really awaken to who they are, I believe that that is enough in itself, because once we do that, we begin to shine our light. It might sound a bit cliche, but it's honestly true. We begin to shine our light. We begin to connect with like-minded people.
Hello, and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and every week I'm excited that I get to introduce you to another fantastic woman. My soul believes that women are emerging on the planet and that our energy and our essence and our brilliance and our wisdom is needed. And so I feel honored to be able to bring women that are inspiring to me and to others, because they want to make a difference on this planet, not just for themselves, but for other people. So I hope you will come back. We're on all the platforms. We're on YouTube video. You look for Women Awakening with Cynthia James. And please subscribe and share the videos, and your reviews are deeply appreciated. So I want you to know you can also go to cynthiajames.net. That's my website where you can connect to all the things that I'm doing, join my community, and really step into the magic that is you. So I want to introduce you to someone new to me. Her name is Sarah Brown Haté. She is a coach, a teacher, a space holder. She does soul-based healing and mentoring. And she's always been receptive to the invisible and energies around us. She's aware of the power of our thoughts and emotions when it comes to our well-being, and enjoys creating sacred spaces where everyone is welcomed, heard, and accepted just as they are. So the keywords that guide her group events, radio show episodes, and individual mentoring are love, non-judgment, and connection. She takes inspiration from our psychological, emotional, behavioral, and relational makeup, as well as the moon cycles and flow of energy in our body, to support greater holistic well-being and a return to self. So she enables people to heal their hearts, shine their souls in capital letters, to stand for self, others, the universe, and life. Love the life that they're here to live. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much for being here.
Cynthia, thank you so much for welcoming me here. It's just such a pleasure. And don't you find that it's always interesting to hear somebody introducing you?
Yes, 100%. And ladies, Sarah is in France, and I love that I just get to talk to women around the world. This is so incredible. So, Sarah, I want to start with how you grew up. Because I'm sure you didn't just come on the planet and go, oh, I'm going to be a soul healer and a mentor.
No. Although maybe my soul did know that at the time, but no, I didn't. So I am living in France, in the south of France right now. And I was actually born in England, as you can probably tell from my accent. And looking back, I realized that I was very, very different from an early age. But at the time in the 70s growing up, nobody really talked about what you've just said, the connection to self, the connection to spirit, the universe, all of that. And so I had various experiences. For example, when I was 8, I had what I now know is a near-death experience. When I was in my teens, I had an out-of-body experience. And then soon afterwards, or soon before, I can't exactly remember, but I also saw a couple of ghosts at the end of my bed. And at the time, I remember just feeling totally freaked out, didn't know who to go to, didn't know what to do with all of this. And so really sort of put that to one side, if you like. And it affected me so deeply. It made me feel that I was really, really different to anybody else in my family. I don't recall even speaking to any friends at the time about that particular experience or those particular experiences. And growing up, I was really, I suppose, I'm saying this with all humility, a bit like Princess Diana type, very
Mhm.
shy, very sort of like that, not really wanting to be noticed on the outside, but the inside was screaming to be noticed.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. It's really interesting. So many of the women that I've interviewed have talked about their beginning life from a similar perspective, feeling different, having these experiences, not knowing who to talk to, or if they tried to talk about it, nobody believed them, or, tried to calm them down. And I really believe that there are a number of us on the planet who came here to do a specific kind of work. And we came into those families that couldn't get it. So I want to know what started you moving in the direction that you're in now?
Great question. It was when I had a really massive health scare back in 2008 now. Up until then, I'd sort of been doing the traditional thing. So, I mean, it's not for everybody, but going to university, getting married, having children, having a relatively stable job and, professional situation until my back was speaking to me. I didn't listen, and I ended up with a massive slip disc at the base of my spine, which paralyzed my right leg. So I couldn't walk. I was in absolute agony, as you can probably imagine, and I couldn't go back to work. And this was a real turning point for me because I was just coming up to my 40s, really realized that the life I'd been living up until then was not necessarily the life that I was destined to live and I wanted to live. And I'd been feeling the urge for a long, long time to actually set up my own business, and for various reasons didn't. And so it was just sort of more or less presented to me as this is the time. You have no other choice. So that's when I set up my first business, beginning of 2009. And that has since evolved into the soul-based healing and mentoring today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, ladies, let me just say this. The universe will whisper to you, it will tap you on the shoulder, and then you will get a 2x4 in some form or another. Yours was your back, mine was an adrenal issue. I mean, they said you are headed towards Addison's disease if you don't change what you're doing. So I want you to know that ladies, you do not have to get to the sit down stage. You can get to the place where you listened earlier. So I want
Exactly.
Exactly. So I want to know about your work. Tell me what is soul-based healing?
So this is like the third iteration of my business, let's say. So I started off doing what I've been doing for very many years, which was technical translation and training adults here in France. And then it morphed over the years. And basically, I went through a dark night of the soul in 2015, which led me to then train to become a coach and in all the other healing modalities that I now teach and use with my clients. And the soul-based healing and mentoring was actually a gift, if I can say it like that, from my late father's youngest brother. Because at my father's wake back in February, March 2022, my uncle, who I didn't even realize was actually following me on social media, to be honest, he came over to me at one point and said, "You're all about love and healing, aren't you?" And I said, "Am I?" And he said, "Oh, yes." He said, "I've been reading all your posts and seeing what you're up to." And as it was at Dad's wake, I just felt it was very, very poignant and really something that I needed to listen to. So I started journaling on that. Journaling is a great technique that I've been using for over 10 years now to help me with my emotional well-being, for example. And I was journaling about it. And one day I had a message from the universe, that's what I call it anyway, which said, you need to rebrand. So it's SBH Mentoring, which are my initials, Sarah Brown Haté, but also soul-based healing. And I'm like having this conversation thinking, seriously? I can't say that. I can't do that. And the message was very loud. And actually, that's why the soul is in capital letters, because they said soul needs to be in capital letters. And I said, okay, so what does it mean? And as you said at the beginning, I think, Cynthia, the S is for self, the O is for others, the U is for universe, the L is for life. So I'm writing all of this down in my journal. And then I realized that, in my opinion, and from my experience, and all of the beautiful women I know as friends and clients, most of us live our lives the wrong way round.
Yes.
And the S of our soul is the last thing. The self is the last thing that we attend to. We imagine this life, however we imagine it to be. So that's the L. And then our life depends on you, which is either the universe, your spirituality, or your environment, or the context you live in. And then you think about all the other people. And if you're like the majority of my clients, you have been or still are a people pleaser. You will always put other people's needs and wants before your own. And then if there's any time, energy, and even financial resources left, you will think of the S, the self. And it was really, really as though everything that I had experienced up until then, up until 3 years ago, had really landed in this soul-based healing and mentoring. So that's where it's come from.
Well, there's a few things that you said are just really important. Okay, ladies, this is what I want to know, let you to know. You know, Sarah, like you, I hear a voice that talks to me when it's giving me information. And sometimes it comes through journaling. There's research that talks about there's a power in journaling that not only supports your clarity, but can help your physiology as well. But the other thing I guess I just wanted to say is that your listening becomes the second biggest component. I wrote a book called I Choose Me, and it was for women. And it talked about the fact that women were property until the early 1900s. And so everything we were taught in our culture was put everybody first. So what you're teaching people to get to self first, to honor self first, to love self first, because then that's going to feed the field of your life, is powerful. So who are your clients?
Okay, this is often a difficult question for me because I do not want to exclude anybody. So I personally prefer people with a more feminine energy. Okay, because for me, energy is really, really important. So it doesn't matter how you identify, but it's more an energetic perspective for me. And as I mentioned, one of the things that everybody has in common is this people pleasing. But it can also be perfectionists, high achievers, people who are really, and probably have already had a lot of success, to be honest, in life, but just can't see it for whatever reason. And a lot of the time they're at a transitional phase. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they're midlifers, they can be. But as you know, we can have transitions between careers, between places where we live, relationships at any age and any stage. So I don't like to put an age on it at all, but it's when you have come to this point, this crossroads, where what happened to me and put me on my spiritual development journey was a long time before the back scare. That was in 2002. I felt so alone and just sat in my garden and cried and literally went, if there's anybody or anything out there, please help me. And that's the first time I heard a voice. That's the first time I heard a message. And it was just very short at the time. Please trust and everything will be okay. And that meant trust myself because I had a very difficult decision to make. I was pregnant with our third child. We have 3 children. And I was pregnant with our third child. And I had a difficult decision to make regarding my health and the future child's health. And I sensed what was right for me and the baby. And nobody agreed with me. The doctors said I was crazy. And it was very, very difficult for me at the time. I'm going back over 20 years to override all of that and to trust. And I took the decision there and then to listen to that voice because it was so loud, so clear. And literally a couple of minutes after I had said, please help me, that I thought I need to listen to this. So going back to your question, a lot of people who are lost, who really feel alone, who don't know what's happening maybe in their life, or who have these difficult decisions to make, a lot of the women, because let's say 80% of my clientele have always been women, just because, but a lot of women come to me and say, I've never dared share this with anybody. I feel so much guilt around a particular situation. I feel so much shame. Sometimes they can't even verbalize it to begin with. And that's why I say as well that I hold space, because I felt, maybe wrongly, but I felt growing up at least, that I didn't have a space where I was really held as the person I am. And so everything that I provide now is what I would have liked to have had as well.
Well, that's very beautiful. But something you said struck me, when you were in that garden and you said, if anything or anybody's out there, help me. That is such a beautiful act of surrender. And I think that that is what is called for us. We can say we're faith-based people, we can have all of these things, but until we surrender to it, until we open to it, it can't come in. It's because it's waiting for the invitation to really share with us. And so I love that you did that. And what I felt when you were talking was that you create a space to give to others what you did not have.
Yes.
It's beautiful. So tell me a little bit about how you work with people.
So there are various ways you can attend group workshops, whether in person or online. Obviously, the audience will be international. So unless you want to fly into France, where you are very, very welcome, the better option would be online. But I offer different things because I know that people are at different stages and have different needs and wants. So one of my very popular group workshops is for women. It's for one day. And it's called Replenish. So as I said, I can offer these in person and online. And it really is that, replenish, just come and step out of your day-to-day life and fill your own cup up. And it's a relatively small circle of women, because I believe that the more intimate the circle, the easier it is as well to open up and to share. Some of the women who come to my events, it's the first time ever that they've experienced something like that. So for now, at least, I prefer to hold more intimate events rather than larger events. A lot of my work is also one-to-one, because we are all individuals, and group workshops are great, don't get me wrong, because we have that community, that connection, the sharing, which is very, very powerful. And especially if you're maybe at the beginning of your journey and you feel alone, that was one of the things that helped me, because knowing that you're not alone, listening to other women share their stories, similar to what we're doing here, does help, because you think, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one. So a lot of the work that I do is actually one-to-one mentoring, and I have evolved as well my services. The most popular one at the moment is Rebirth, or Birthing Your Best Self, which is 9 months. I specifically chose that length because for me it's very symbolic as a mother. The quote unquote normal pregnancy is 9 months. And so a 9-month mentoring program to really help you to reconnect to yourself, or sometimes even for women to connect. They have never connected. And then also I have other opportunities to work. I've just released a, how would I call that? Because my mind sometimes thinks in French, because I do live in France and do a lot of my work in French as well. So I do apologize. The word's totally gone. Yes, sorry. I've just created a monthly subscription called The Magic of Connection. And that is for people, so it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in the planet, it's online resources. You can subscribe for just 1 month, you can subscribe for a whole year, and there is a different theme every month based on the moon cycles, and there are 3 different resources that you will have each month once you subscribe. So if people are interested in that, I can provide some more details later on.
Well, tell me how people find you. How do they find you?
The best way is to go onto my website. So that's sbhmentoring.com. And I haven't yet had the time to put up the details for the Magic of Connection. So the best place to go would be on the contact page, if you're interested in that, for example. And there you can send me a message asking for more details, because I've just created a presentation video, which is not available to everybody on YouTube. So I will send you the link if you are interested in that. And again, on the contact page, if you would like more information about my group workshops and the one-to-one mentoring, that's the best page to go to.
Well, your work sounds beautiful, and it sounds so encompassing, so all-encompassing. It's very powerful. I ask the same last question of every guest. This show is called Women Awakening, and I want to know why you think it is important for women to be awakening at this moment on the planet.
Oof. Okay. Because the world needs us. You just have to look around you, unfortunately, to see the state of absolute chaos, despair, fear in the world. The world needs us. And no matter how big or small, if women really awaken to who they are, I believe that that is enough in itself, because once we do that, we begin to shine our light. It might sound a bit cliche, but it's honestly true. We begin to shine our light. We begin to connect with like-minded people, not necessarily just women, but like-minded people. And together, that's how we're going to change this world. I used to say, and I still say, sometimes I say it less because people are like, well, that will never happen. But I really believe in a world where love and community reign. And that begins with women.
Oh, I could not have said it better. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Well, Sarah, thank you for being here and for doing the beautiful work that you do. I mean, there's something powerful about the fact that you knew as a child, even, that there was something and that you surrendered to it and opened to it and now support others is a beautiful gift. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all of your beautiful words, Cynthia. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to share my experiences, at least, and to do what I can to make the world a better place.
Beautiful. Okay, ladies, I end this show the same way every week with different words. I love what Sarah said. You're here to shine. You're here to bring your gifts, to bring your wisdom, to bring your knowledge. And, beautiful people like Sarah who are here are offering portals for you to step through to be able to say yes to what is wanting to be birthed in, as, around, and through you. So my advice to you is say yes. Listen, ask, open. And, there's that whole thing, asking which will be given, seeking you shall find, knocking the door will be open. All of those apply, because whatever you need to be the best you is available. I love you so much, and I will see you next time.